welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how you can change width, height or aspect ratio of a live camera preview in Expo React Native application for Android using Media 3 effect as well as Camera X. So let's get started. So first let's look at the code, and side by side, once I reach the proper point, I'll show you guys the output, demo output as well. So here what the next step is to create an Expo React Native project. So you can just run this command inside your terminal and it will create an Expo React Native project for you. It will ask you for your app name, just give it some app name. Now just to quickly show you the documentation as well, there are multiple ways to create an Expo React Native project. I'm using this blank TypeScript template as you can see over here, but if you want you can use all these other templates as well. The reason I'm using this blank TypeScript template is because it creates a blank less boilerplate code with TypeScript support, that's why. Okay, once that is done, you need to go to this URL over here. So like I said, will be writing native code. I'm not using any third-party library. Also the Expo version which I'm using is 53.0.2. Unfortunately, the Expo guys have still not updated to React Native 80, which has been released a month ago from the time me recording this video, but they still haven't updated it. I don't know why, but anyways, for our case this is fine. There I don't think there will be any breaking changes as such. So just go to this URL next. So here you will have to select Android device, select development build, and I have already done all these steps. So here you will have to select your own operating system. I have already ran this command. I have set the Java home as well. I've also set up Android Studio as well. So if you haven't done this, you will have to follow this documentation, then do this particular bit of stuff, then do this particular bit of stuff. Then you will have to cd to your application, so the Expo React Native application inside your terminal, the cd to my app or whatever is your Expo React Native project name, and then just run this command. So this will install this Expo dev client dependencies as well. So you'll have to run this command. Once you run this command, you will have to run this command over here, npx expo run android. Once you run this command, you should see this Android folder being created for you. It will also ask you like, do you want to run your application on a simulator or a real device? So you don't have to run it, you can just press Ctrl C. We'll run it at the very end once the application is done, once we finish writing code, because we will be writing native code, right? So you can't just hot reload or hot refresh. You will have to run it from the start, so no point in running it now. Okay, then we need to create this module. So for that you need to go to this particular documentation. Like I said, this is only for Android, so we are not concentrating on iOS. So I'll open it inside a new tab, and here you can see you first need to run this command. Okay, then it will ask you some questions like what should be the module name. Don't enter anything, just press enter. That's it, and it will give you this, it should create this folder for you, modules, my module, that's it. Okay, now I'll just close this. Now a few things which you need to do. So first you need to go to the src folder, go to my module.type.ts, and here you can see this is the URL. Like, this is the thing which we will use for sending, this key we will be using for sending the image URL from native Android side to Expo React Native side. Okay, now here I have commented this particular thing out. Now this all thing was present by default, I have not added this by myself. I will tell you what I have changed. I have commented these two things out. Now don't get confused by this URL and this URL. This URL is for sending the data back from native Android side or from native side to Expo React Native side, and this basically is a prop. We are not using any prop, so I have commented this out. And this particular thing is same what I have written over here. I have just changed the name on image taken just so that it makes more sense in our case. That's why, that's the only thing which I have changed. Okay, and I don't think I have changed anything inside my module. Just check once. I think this should be the same for you as well. Then once that is done, you need to go to the Android folder. You need to go to build.gradle, and here you need to add this dependencies block. So here you need to add this camera core, then this camera 2, camera lifecycle, camera view, then Android X camera media 3 effect, which is still in alpha at the time of me recording this video, and this media 3 effect as well. If this library does become stable, make sure you use the stable version. Then Android X app compat 1.7.0 as well. Okay, once you add all this, you need to go to the main Android folder, go to app, src, main, android manifest.xml, and here you can see we need to add two things. First is this uses feature of Android hardware camera as well as this camera permission. So make sure you add these two things. Now we also require this write external storage, but this was added by default when we create an Expo React Native project, so I don't need to add it.
okay, and also the internet permission is a good thing to do. Okay, once that is done, let's just see how to use it. We'll see the implementation in a bit. So just go to app.tsx, and here are all the imports which I have written. So feel free to pause the video and copy all these imports. Then here we have one state for image URL, one state just to check whether camera permission was granted or not. Then here I am just checking whether the Android version is greater than 10 or not, greater than equal to 10, because from Android 10 we don't require the write external storage permission. So that's what I'm doing over here inside this method. Depending on the Android version, we are asking for the required permission. And here you can see once the permission has been granted, we just change the state of this particular variable over here as well. Okay, and inside use effect we just call this particular method over here. Once image URL is not equal to empty, then we'll just display the image using the image React Native image element. If it is empty, like at the default it is empty, and if camera permission is granted, then we just display this camera preview as well as our capture button. Else we just say display a text saying camera permission not granted, and these are the styles for that particular thing as well. Okay, then again you need to go to module, my module, go to src java, and here you first need to go to my module.kt. okay, first you need to add this particular import. Now why we need to add this? Because we need to annotate this my module at the rate unstable API. This is because this media 3 effect libraries are bit like this is an alpha, right? But this unstable API is because of this particular library. Even though this is stable, the API is bit unstable. This is one of the quirks of Android development. Hopefully by the time you guys watch this video, they hopefully resolve this issue, but at least at the time of me recording we need to add this. Okay, and rest everything I have kept it as it is. Then just scroll down, and here inside my module we have commented this out because we are not passing any prof. So to comment out things in Kotlin, you just have to add this double slash, and here also I have commented this out events on load, and here I have this events on image taken because that's the type which we are using over here, right? That's why I'm using events on image taken. That's the only change which you need to make. Now let's see the actual code on how to do this.
This thing is, you need to open this my module view.kt file, and firstly you will see some code inside this file. You have to just delete all that code and just keep this particular class. Okay, now these are all the imports, so feel free to pause the video and just copy all these imports which are there. Okay, then here we have annotated this class with @unstable because we are using media 3 API inside this particular class. Now this class is used inside my module.kt as well. That's why my module.kt is also annotated with @unstable. Now to send data from this native Android set to Expo React Native set, we make use of this event dispatcher. Here is our activity, here is our frame layout, then here we define our camera, this is the preview, this is the image capture. Here we define our capture button as well, this is the preview view. Here we define our camera executor service, and here is our process camera provider. Here is our back facing lens. Here we set layout params to our frame layout, add it as a parent view. Then here is our we set the viewfinder is basically the camera preview view. Here we set the layout params for our viewfinder as well, and here we call this method. I will talk more about this later. Then here we add our viewfinder to our frame layout. Then we change the text background color, text color as well as alpha for our capture button. Then here we set the layout params for our capture button, and we add our capture button to our frame layout. Then we add a click listener to our capture button as well, in which we call take photo. Then here we override the on attached to window. So if it has the camera permission, then we do viewfinder.post call setup camera, and here we override on detached from window. So here we shut down our camera executor as well as unbind our camera provider, and here we call this particular method. Now why we are calling this method? So what does this method do? So basically there is this issue. You can go to this URL which has been open in React Native's repo since past 8 years. They still haven't fixed that particular issue, unfortunately. So this is a hack which we need to write. If you don't write this hack, you will just see a black screen instead of your live camera preview. That's why we need to do this. Then here we call setup camera, in which we first get hold of our camera provider future, then we add a listener to it, and then we get our camera provider. Then here we do bind camera use case, where we get the camera rotation. Then we get our camera provider. Here we first define our camera selector. Here we define aspect ratio strategy. This is the resolution selector. Here we initialize our preview view. Here we initialize our image capture as well. Then here we initialize our use case group builder. Here is the media 3 effect code which we are using. Now like I said, there are multiple ways to change the width, height and aspect ratio. The first way is using this Okay, here you can change only the height, but I'll show you guys the output. But if you're using this first way, you have to remove this. So here I have commented this out, and if you're using this way, then you will have to comment this entire code out or remove this entire code out. Okay, but I have just commented it out for now, but I'll show you the output as well. So let me just open my output which I have recorded. So here you can see, first it will ask you for camera permission. Once you give the camera permission, here you can see this is the live camera preview, and we also have the capture button. Once you click on the capture button, it will capture the image and display it inside image view. Now here you might be seeing that nothing much has changed, even though we have I'll just close this. Even though we have changed the height, nothing really has changed. So you will have to choose, because we are not changing the width, that's why it is looking something like that. But if you use the second one, then again you will have to uncomment this, so you will have to remove all these slashes. So this is the second one where we are changing the aspect ratio, so this entire part. But make sure you remove this and this entire bit of code if you are using this entire one. Okay, so here for aspect ratio, the output is like this. If you change the aspect ratio, so here you can see this is how the output looks like. Okay, and for the third one, if you are using this, where we are changing the width as 480, height as 800, then the output looks like this. So hopefully you got the point. And here I can just click on the capture button again, and it will capture the image for us. Okay, then we just add our media 3 effect to our use case group builder. We unbind our camera provider, we bind it to the life cycle, we assign it to the camera variable, then we set the surface provider as well. Then here I call take photo method, where we get hold of our image capture. Here is our simple date format as well, and here we initialize content values by passing the display name, MIME type, and if Android version greater than P, we also set the relative path. Then here we do image capture dot output file options, then we do image capture dot take picture, and here we override on error as well as on image saved, and here we get the URI of the saved image, which we send it back to React Native side with the help of this particular code. Then we unbind our camera provider. Then here we have method just to check whether we have the proper camera permissions or not, and here we have two variables, tag as well as file name format, which we are using it inside our code. So yeah, that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye.